Hey all, it's your boy John Atala, and welcome back to the Big Boy Basics. We're finally on episode 11, the best back exercises for a full body split. These are really just the basics to get you guys started, and let's get into it. So disclaimer, these are just general recommendations. These are not the only back exercises. There are a million different variations, but I don't need an hour-long video of back exercises, and your gym should have all of this equipment. If it doesn't, go somewhere else. So let's get into the main parts of the back. You see there's a million parts, but I've only highlighted 3. These are really the only 3 we're going to focus on and we really care about. So we have the trapezius, those are the top, your traps. You have the latissimus dorsi, your wings when you do your lat spread, the erector spinae for the back. Those are the big meaty trunks on your back. So for the lats, what are the functions? Shoulder adduction, really just the smart way of saying bringing your hands to your side. And then shoulder extension, which is bringing the arms to the front of your body. For your traps, you have scapular retraction, elevation, and depression. What's all that mean? You're just moving your traps. It allows you to move your traps in a bunch of different ways. And then you have the erector spinae, which extend the spine. So you'll find with your back exercises, there are 3 main different grip positions you can use, and each one kind of acts a little different. So pronated is like this. It's your palms away from you, and generally this is going to be your weakest position. You'll be doing pull-ups like this, and it involves more of your back and not as much bicep. Supinated, your palms towards you, is going to involve more bicep and includes your back still, so you'll generally be able to do more weight. And then you have your neutral grip, which is just like this, and for a lot of people this is their strongest position because you're getting some of your forearms, your biceps, and your back all involved in this position, like in a hammer curl. So in your exercise logbook, definitely make sure to make note of what grip position you're using. Changing grip positions definitely affects how much weight you can move. So don't do a pull-up one day, then do a chin-up the next day, then wondering why you're not as strong because you're probably strong in your chin-up. In your logbook, just make note of what position you're using, what exercise you're using, and make note of that in your logbook and make sure you keep track with that hand position for whatever exercise you choose. So what are the main movements we need to focus on for the back for our full body split? So let's start with our horizontal pulls. We'll start with the king, the barbell row. The barbell row is going to be a great mass builder for the back. You're going to be able to load a decent amount of weight since you're using both hands on it, and most people do it with a pronated grip. A little jerky motion is fine on the barbell row, but don't use a weight that you can only use with momentum. It should be a little, not the whole movement. Now, since you're using both arms in a barbell row together, and if you're worried about some arm dominance, the dumbbell row is a good exercise to use as well. Your hands more in a neutral grip position, which will be comfortable for some people. Plus, you're doing each arm individually, so it will get its own separate stimulus. Now, with the 2 of these, if you find your lower back is sore some days and it is fatigued, a cable row or a machine row are good alternatives to use. You can row, but in an upright position, taking the tension off your lower back. I do like doing these chest supported barbell rows now as they help lessen the fatigue on the lower back. All of these are great options. And lastly, we do have a good body weight option, the inverted row. To get the most out of these though, make sure to touch your chest to the bar, and that counts as a rep. It is possible to do a lot of these partials and not really get tired. In my logbook, I only count reps I can touch my chest to the bar with. Make sure to stay rigid and flat and don't let your butt sag in the movement. And these are going to be all the major movements you need for horizontal pulling, horizontal rowing. So for our vertical pulling, let's keep this really simple as well. You have the lat pull down. You can do a lat pull down with any grip you like. Just make sure you keep that grip as a separate exercise in your logger, as you'll be able to move more weight in a supinated or neutral grip versus a pronated grip as we discussed earlier. Do a certain grip and stick with that grip for a while before you swap it out. In the beginning though, it might be good to try a couple different grips and with positions to see which one you connect with the most and you feel the most. Along with the lat pull down, we also have pull-ups or chin-ups. Pull-ups are with your hands pronated, your palms away from you. Chin-ups are with your palms towards you. You may need to start with an assistance machine if you can't get any right away. Once you get better, you can get a weight belt and slowly start adding on some plates. Now, recently I've switched to mostly dead hang pull-ups because I find myself just kind of progressively cheating if I don't do a dead hang pull-up. That's where you just go all the way down. You don't have to do this if you're good at tracking yourself, but just make sure your pull-up range doesn't keep getting shorter and then you find yourself progressing when you're not really progressing. But that's all you really need for a vertical pull. You have the lat pull downs, pull-ups, and or chin-ups. Now lastly, we want some meaty spinal erectors. And we're going to get those with some heavy lifting. My first recommendation is to do a trap bar deadlift. If you're not competing in powerlifting, the trap bar deadlift is a great option for many people. Your hands are in neutral position and the weight is to the sides of you instead of in the front, making the form simpler in my opinion. You won't see any cool lifting clips using the trap bar. It's not exciting on TikTok, but it's a great exercise to build your erectors with. If you don't like the trap bar, you can do a standard deadlift, conventional or sumo. I don't really care. I just want you moving some heavy weight that your back needs to stabilize without rounding over. But if you find you don't like deadlifting, or if you're just oddly shaped and never can get into position right, I recommend the trap bar again to try first, or you can try a block or a rack pull. A block pull is just the deadlift up a little higher on some plates so you can be in a higher starting position, which may help some people that are maybe taller and can't sink in as deep, or you got some weird hips. There is also the rack pull, which is just setting up the barbell in a squat rack right above your knees and then picking it up with very little range of motion. You can get really heavy overloading this exercise, so be careful if you lack experience picking up heavy weight, as you'll be able to do a lot more than a deadlift since the range of motion is so small. So how do we program this into a full body split? So notice 3 categories, 3 types of exercises. You have the horizontal, you have a vertical pull, and then you have just a heavy pull off the floor, or if you're doing block pull, rack pull, whatever. But for each of these, just pick one of these exercise categories to do each day. So if you're on a full body split 3 times a week, one day do a horizontal pull. So pick one. So do a barbell row, a dumbbell row, a cable row, an inverted row, whatever you choose, and then do that for 3 sets. And then on your second workout day, do a vertical pull, a lat pull down, a pull up, or a chin up. And then on the third day, do a heavy pull. It doesn't matter. Do the trap bar, a deadlift, a rack pull, maybe a block pull, whatever you prefer. Just pick one of these for each exercise day and do 3 sets. So that's going to be 9 weekly sets. Later in the video, we'll get in how to program the full body split, and you'll get a better image of how to use all the exercises together. So for some programming notes, it is my personal preference to count the deadlift as a back movement, even though it uses a lot of legs, and it really is a full body movement. I like to program it as a back exercise instead of a leg exercise. So, do you need to deadlift though? You don't have to deadlift if you just want general health and aesthetics, but it really is a great movement, and I think most people would benefit from some heavy pulling off the floor. You don't have to go all powerlifting crazy. I think a trap bar really would benefit the general population. Now, if you don't want to deadlift, consider another lat movement, maybe a more angular pull. So you have the horizontal, you have the vertical, then maybe one like this type of angle right here. So you're pulling like this for the in-between. That might be another good movement. But if you are going to deadlift, you may notice then you're really only getting, if you're doing 3 sets of each, you're only going to get 6 sets for your lats, and for your pulling movements, that's not a deadlift. So if you want more volume on your horizontal and vertical pulls, you maybe consider moving those up to 4 sets for each exercise instead of 3. So you could have 4 sets of a horizontal pull, 4 sets of a vertical, and then you can stick with 3 sets for a deadlift. And then where would back day be without back guy? Small back. So next we're going to go into the best leg exercises for a full body split, how we're going to categorize these and how we're going to program them. And we're going to make all these body part variations come together more towards the end of the series, where I give you the template for how to program all of them. Looking forward to talking to you in the comments, and see you next time. Peace.